I'm Brenda Gear, the founder of PEEKaMEET. Welcome to the PEEKaMEET method. We're here to share tips and resources with freelancers, job seekers, and entrepreneurs to help them on their journey and overcome all the challenges of COVID. And hopefully we can find some opportunities in this. Tune in frequently to see what tips and resources we have for you. Well, welcome to the PEEKaMEET method. Today we have Sydney with us. Sydney, why don't you introduce yourself and tell people about your golden business?
Hi, Brenda. Thanks. I'm so excited. So my name's Sydney Golden. I've lived in Denver for almost 7 years, which is just kind of crazy. You know, time has been flying. I currently have a full-time job as the head of event marketing for my full-time company. And then I started Your Golden about a year ago. And I'm a dog mom. And I love all the Colorado things.
Oh, cool. So what exactly is Your Golden?
So Your Golden is a photographer on-demand platform that makes it so fast, easy, and affordable to book a pre-vetted photographer. You can put your phone down and be present. So our goal is really, there's this white space in the market where we have our cell phones and we have like very expensive photo shoots. And kind of how our society and consumer behaviors are moving is like, we do want this instant gratification, as we were kind of offline talking about. So we want this instant gratification, but we all don't always want to have our cell phones out. But as you know, content creation and consumption is on the rise. I mean, TikTok just came about and it's all visual based, right? So it's like, everyone just wants to consume and create visual-based content, but there's no, besides our cell phone, there's no way to do it. So in addition to kind of finding this white space for content creation, the goal and the mission of the business is really to allow us to not have to use our cell phones. Like, think about a child's birthday party. And if I'm the mom and my child's blowing out their candles and I'm, you know, like this, videoing the thing, we can't even make eye contact. You can't even see my face, right? So that eye contact is what creates like a shared experience and social connections and builds our in real life and in-person relationships. So we really just want people to be able to put their phones down without sacrificing great photos.
So what kind of customers have you had already? I mean, we've had the pandemic, so.
Yeah, it's been interesting. So Your Golden really focuses on milestone moments and celebrations. So through the pandemic, those are still happening. And while of course, you're not necessarily hiring a photographer right now, maybe as much as you would, or at least in the beginning of COVID, you weren't, you know, but the bottom line is we're all still having these milestone moments. So birthdays, proposals, gender reveals, anniversaries, these things are still happening and they're still really important in our lives. And there's still these important moments where people want to be present. And especially now when you gather in person and it's a small gathering, the last thing you want is to have your phone out, right? It's like you rarely get to gather in person. So, you know, you don't want to be kind of distracted by your cell phone. So COVID has, you know, definitely, we've seen a decrease in our business for sure, but it doesn't necessarily concern me in the long run. And right now we're focusing on women, kind of through the customers that we've had previously, we're focusing on women 25 to 45 who have about 4 milestone moments in their life a year, whether it's like they're getting married and so they have their bachelorette, they have a wedding shower, they have a birthday, they have, you know, an anniversary, maybe things like that. Or if they have a baby, you know, they have a like a gender reveal, then they have a baby shower, and then they have a baby's birthday, and then maybe they have their own birthday or an anniversary. So we're kind of focusing on that group that has multiple milestone moments a year, because the goal in the near future is to kind of put together a package that, you know, would allow people to start really integrating Your Golden into their life. So if they buy 4 sessions up front, they'll know kind of what they want to use them for.
Okay, that's exciting. I mean, I think that's great. I think you should be in the moment. So the photographer, whose camera is the photographer using? Are they using the person's mobile phone or their own professional equipment?
They're using their own professional equipment. So they show up to the event. Really how it works is like a person goes on our website, fills out an order form, and it's really just who, what, when, and where. They pay up front our flat hourly rates starting at $100 an hour. And that order form then goes to our pool of pre-vetted photographers that get to look at the order form and decide, like, you know, is this a job I want to take? Does it fit my schedule? Does it fit my budget? You know, so then photographers will accept or decline the offer, and then the customer will at least get one photographer to accept. If they get multiple photographers, that's great, and the customer will choose. Otherwise, they're just kind of matched in this system, because it's not about the actual photographer. Like similar to Uber, you're paying for a service level versus a specific driver or specific photographer. So the requirement to be a photographer is you have to have a professional camera. So once you're matched with your photographer, they arrive, they introduce themselves. They don't bring a photographer like photo shoot setup. They just bring their camera, their professional grade camera, a couple lenses, a flash, but for the most part, it's just whatever they can carry in a backpack. And, you know, so really it's just their camera. They introduce themselves, and then, you know, they ask the person who placed the order or the day of contact person, you know, anything specific you want me to get. All of our photographers are professionals. So they've all shot events, parties, weddings, you know, they've all done this. They're pros, right? So even if the customer will say, no, nothing specific, they know what to look for. But sometimes the customer will say, yeah, hey, can you get the setup of, you know, the food setup, or can you get, you know, specific pictures that they might want for some reason. Sometimes people have even given us a shot list, which is perfect and helpful if they have specific shots in mind, especially like if you're an entrepreneur and you have a, you know, this is a social media shoot, for example, like you're gonna have really specific shots that you're gonna want. But the goal really is for you to not even know our photographer's there. So they introduce themselves, they ask, you know, anything specific, but then you go on your way, and they're very discreet, and they're capturing those candid moments, and they're capturing like the action shots, like the blowing out of the candles or the cheers or the hugs or the laughs, you know. And then, you know, their time goes by, they say, thank you for having me. And then within 24 hours, we deliver a photo gallery of unedited photos that the customer owns. They can forward on to as many people as they want. They can download as many times. They've already paid us up front. There's no hidden fees. So we send them this link, and whatever they want to do with these photos, they get to do. And that's it.
Yeah, I got two thoughts on that. One, I love the service. I'll give you a couple reasons. Last week, my girlfriend and I were out at dinner, and, you know, we're just laughing, having a good time. And some guy comes over, and he was like, you two look like you're celebrating. Let me take a picture of you. So she gives him her phone. And the only thing I'm thinking is, like, do we have any alcohol? We can spray that down. You know?
You don't want, like, right now in these times, you don't want people touching your phone.
Yes, and she didn't think twice about it. I was like, she gives the guy her phone. And so I'm thinking, no, that's actually where you're going, and would actually really work.
It would really work.
And then going back just to that professional camera, I think that's huge. It's quite different than the photos that you would get if you're taking them on even a great iPhone, right?
Exactly.
You know, I walked into the Commons, and Kaylin took a picture of me, and I was just sitting in the chair. She goes, snap, snap. The pictures came out great. So
Great.
She knew what she was doing, versus if I was doing it, you know, I would have 40 pictures, you know, and she goes, snap, snap. And then both of the pictures, I was like, I love both of them. So I can see where that service has great value.
Yeah, can I really quickly say something to that? Because it's true, like our iPhones have great cameras on them, but a professional camera is still better, not to mention the angles are better, right? Because it's like that third party perspective. So it's everyone's in the picture. Someone doesn't have to use their phone to step out of the frame, right? So even like moms get in the picture. And then to your point about the celebration, which is great, and what a nice guy to come over and offer that. That's amazing. That's so friendly and nice. but it's still this posed photo, right? So like you're celebrating, and sometimes you want the posed photos, but sometimes it's like in that genuine celebration, you kind of just want like those candid moments of like having a fun time and not having to pose too.
I didn't say the photo turned out great. That
Well,
it
was still nice of him to offer.
It was very nice of him to offer, but I'm thinking like, no, don't do that. But you're right. Though those professional folks, they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah,
You know,
they know what to look for.
Lenses and yeah, and absolutely, in the color and all that stuff. And I'm just kind of learning this stuff myself.
Yeah.
So with your other job, the event planning, how has that been during the pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's been very different. Initially, it was a screeching halt. And even now, we're getting messages every day that events in January and February are canceled or going virtual. So it's very, very different. However, it's given me, especially as the head of a department, a really, really fun opportunity because, so for example, I manage our community outreach program, and one of our community outreach program is just going around the country and helping to feed underprivileged, homeless, specifically like vets. And yeah, it's an amazing program. And so we travel around the country to do these community outreach programs. So I'm like, well, we can't do this right now. Like, we're not going to be able to go into shelters and feed people at this point because of COVID restrictions. So I was like, you know, Comcast is our biggest partner in that across the country. They kind of sponsor this program, and we would lose Comcast's partnership if we could not continue this community outreach. Like, that's how important it is to them. So I was like, well, we can't, you know, lose this partnership for this. My overall business, our company, just a huge company, would be very bad. So basically created this kind of food truck, this tour. So now we have a self-contained kitchen that we can drive around the country, and we can pull up anywhere and we can feed the homeless, underserved community. We don't have to go into a kitchen anymore. So it really gave me this like fun opportunity to say, I know we still need to do in-person events, but I know we need to do them safely, and I know they need to change. So we've done a ton of virtual stuff, but it's also like this program could have been going on and on and on and been just fine, but COVID has given us this opportunity to innovate and change and be like pushing us to think of new ways to do things that we wouldn't have been pushed to do before. So like, I actually really welcomed this opportunity in my events role and have found it really like interesting and fun.
Yeah, it sounds like you turned took lemon and made lemonade, if you will, you know. So
yeah,
trial and tribulation, you know.
Yeah, and it's like
exciting.
COVID proof, so that's great.
Well, we actually understand your challenges and your opportunities, and it sounds like you guys did a great success with that. So how was the isolation? How did you deal with the isolation during the initial shutdown and thereafter?
Yeah, so I am a single human in my condo. I have a fur child, and I think every day, if I didn't have my dog, I would have had a really, really tough time. I think everyone had their own challenges. I can't put myself into anyone else's shoes, but I know that being stuck in a house with a lot of people also has its challenges, right? But isolation went to a whole new level for me. So just having my dog was really, really hugely helpful. I was telling you before, I didn't turn my TV on at all. I was able to just really make an effort to get to things that I hadn't had a chance to get to before. So with Your Golden, so while my full-time job was a little slower, I had the opportunity to like, okay, let me rebuild the website. Let me work on gathering emails for a newsletter. Let me upgrade some technology. So I like took this opportunity to really work on some stuff. And so I actually didn't even notice the isolation in the beginning, like in the March and April, because I was so focused. I was like working nonstop, that the isolation didn't set in until kind of like May, June.
Oh yeah, a little bit of a delay there where you were just so immersed in your work. Did you have any
Yeah.
family members or friends that lost their job due to COVID, or any moms that ended up staying home because they had to, teach their children?
Yeah, luckily, I don't know a ton of people who lost their jobs, which, I thank God every day that I still
Blessing, yeah.
have my full-time job, especially in events, the biggest challenge in my network has been the homeschooling. A lot of my close friends have school age children, and their safety, and have a first grader trying to remote learn, and she has a full-time job, like it's I've heard so many challenges with that, and it's hard. A lot of people want their kids to go back to school, but obviously they want it to be safe too. But being in school is such a formative thing, especially at such a young age. So I know I feel like I'm definitely empathetic and sympathetic. I don't have children, so I can't necessarily personally relate, but that's been the biggest thing in my circle, is just this home learning and just balancing the school and work.
Are there any books, blogs, or any resources that you would recommend for someone just coping, whether it's just with the isolation or just in general about pivoting, which it sounds like you did both in both of your roles?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's my best advice is really to just think about your business or your personal situation, and just think about what changes you could make to try to adapt. And really, it is hard sometimes to think about these very, very kind of negative things that are happening in our lives, like COVID. And it's really hard to think of them in a positive light. But it's times like these that really force us to innovate and to change, and really show you that, okay, doing things the way I was doing it, like I said before, could have kept going, but at some point they would have had to make these changes anyway. So my best advice is really to just, take some time, kind of shut off your brain, get away from the other people in your household if you can, even just meditate on it and think about it, and just make a list of all the even outlandish, crazy things that you could do, that in your mind you're like, well, I'd never do that, but just write them down, and maybe something would come out of that. When you're under stress and you have a lot of people in your house, it's hard to get creative, and it's hard to not focus on the task at hand and all the things you have to get done. So sometimes you have to create that space to let your mind wander a little bit, because it might not happen naturally right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think of my best ideas when I'm by myself. I feel like I've solved the world's problems.
Yeah.
I
And it's so good if you
know.
have a notebook with you too, because you can write them down, and yeah, for sure. You need that headspace to do that.
You have no idea how many stickies and all these things that I do, and then then I compile my list and see what makes sense or doesn't make sense later, or how
Yeah.
outlandish, like you said. So, Sydney, we all have an ask. So, what's your ask?
Yeah, my ask right now is really, I'm looking for some community partners. What I think takes people a minute to understand about Your Golden is that we're definitely B2B. We can be B2B for sure, and especially in the startup community. I really want to work with other entrepreneurs who need affordable photography for their businesses, but we're really B2C. And what I think some business owners or event planners or people aren't grasping is that we're really the service for your customers. So for example, there's Denver Picnic Company. Over the summer, we had a partnership with them where their customers would do an add-on for a photographer. And it was a 15-minute mini session, where one of our we handled all the Denver Picnic Co. didn't have to worry about it. I was like, I will secure the photographer and get them there. You don't have to worry about it. We get the photographer there, we do this mini session, the customer gets their photos in 24 hours, it's the same process. while Denver Picnic Co. uses those photos for marketing material for sure, that's not our number one goal. Our number one goal was to be there for the customer, to capture their picnic and their moment. And even though it was only 15 minutes, like that's what our service is most about. So when I say community partners, I'm looking for people who have this B2C component that adding in a photographer would be a great benefit, and it's super affordable. And then kind of second nature, like what comes out of that is when you deliver high quality photos to a customer, you know what they're going to do. Like they're going to post them on social media. They're going to talk about their experience. They're going to tag the business. They're going to use their hashtag. So ultimately, it's actually a really great, affordable, organic like marketing tool, because when you deliver these high quality images to your customers, they're like inevitably going to promote you. So when I say community partners, it's like Denver Picnic Co. It's like, Nurture down the street, their new well care center, and we, take photos at their happy hours, at their Sunday brunches, and you send those to your customers. Again, you can use those for your own marketing materials, but it's like a benefit for your customers that will ultimately benefit you. So just community partners that might be able to think of ways that like delivering photos to their consumers would be helpful. So I know that was a little bit long-winded, but it is just like a different, when you say hire a photographer, I think a lot of people think we're meaning like for marketing materials or to take photos of the event or something like that,
yeah,
right?
Bringing all that equipment, and really it's just a person with the camera, or a professional with the camera rather.
Exactly.
So how can people find you?
So we're most active on Instagram. And so we're just at the letter U, the letter R _golden. And our website is the letter U, the letter R, golden.com.
Thank you, Sydney. So it was a pleasure just hearing about your stories and how you just you took all these challenges and turned them to opportunities, and it's helping people around the country. But also these photos, of the milestones, like you said, these things are still happening, and I think that's just fabulous that you guys are out there,
Yeah.
getting the family in the photos.
Yeah. Well, Brenda, thank you. And congrats on all your success as well. And this is such a great idea to start doing these, like connecting with people in your network. So congrats.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Well,
Yeah.
to all of our successes together.
Yes.